latest edition of the Symposium, where Tim Arnold, Michael McMahon, and myself, Paul Godwin, get together to discuss whatever's burning a hole in our brains that day. And what we thought we'd do today is just spend a short 15 minutes or so talking about the seniorship itself. And what we mean by that is, what do we get out of it? What's good about being in the seniorship years? We're going to take it in turn to just share our thoughts. I have no idea what Tim's got on his list, or Michael on his. I have mine, but let's see if any of us share the same thoughts. We'll kick off with Tim. Tim, what's so great about the seniorship years, and why is it such a positive force in your life?
Well, I blame my wife because she buys the Daily Mail, and the politics aren't mine, but it is full of advice on what to do when you get old, and full of advice that it contradicts the next week, by the way, most of the time. But I get fed up of being told what to do when I'm old by people who aren't old. And most of the advice didn't seem to do what I wanted to do. And so I talked to Michael and talked to you because we're all doing things at a certain age which has no relationship to anything the Daily Mail has ever written. So it was basically, we all, as we have discussed many times, we are doing very similar things, and we're doing them in our own way, which works for us. We can learn from each other. Oh, I do that, and oh, that's a good idea. So it is the sharing of the success of people our own age who are doing things in their own way, in the way they want to do them. I've summed it up by do what you can and do what you want to do. So that and seniorship means we don't be downtrodden by other people saying you're old, you can't do it, because everything is possible if you want to. So that is the age of seniorship, and seniorship means you should still, a bit like apprenticeship, you can still be learning, and in fact life is a continuum, so we're learning all the time. We're learning, and one of the things you have to learn as you get older is you have to learn what you can do in ways that you can do it. So it's that added thing of what is your own capability, and balancing up your own motivation. And the final point I wanted to make, which is why we're adding in, if you like, the symposium, is that you can learn from other people, and discussion and the sense of community is very important. Talking to older people, younger people. And as you know, one of the quiet occurs of my life is going down the pub and having a couple of pints, which is much better than taking Valium or whatever. So that's my reason.
I think that's great, Tim, and it's exactly what I was looking for. What it does mean, of course, is that you've said plenty of what I was going to say. So we'll come on to Michael now. Michael, have you got anything to add to that, or maybe even a different take on it?
Well, you've said a lot of what I was going to say too, Tim. So really, we can all go home now. Actually, first thing I was going to say was that I realise now we're all a lot healthier than we expected to be at the age we are now. Well, Tim and I are a bit older than you, Paul, but I've outlived my parents by well over 10 years now, and I don't intend to stop anytime soon. And I'm in a different situation from you two guys, in that I live in a retirement village. And so I'm surrounded with people, some of whom are a fair bit older than me, and they're well into their 90s. And so that's great. So I can get inspiration from them. So, for example, I have a good friend here who's 91, and he plays tennis, as far as I can see, to a fairly good standard, twice a week at 91. So that's an inspiration to me. Picking up what Tim said, do what you want to do. gosh, that is so important, isn't it, really? Because suddenly, when you get older, you realize there's no point worrying about what other people think of you, because mostly they aren't thinking of you anyway. So doing what you want to do is the most important thing. And again, going back to this thing of living in a retirement village, whether you do or you don't, community, whether it's in a retirement village or going to the pub or going to the rugby club, which you are still a member of, Paul, I believe, you know, so that, because I know it's often said that loneliness is a real killer for older people. So anything that takes you away from loneliness, getting involved in a volunteering situation, going to language learning, playing bridge or chess, whatever it is, all these things are good. And the final thing I wanted to say was, and we discussed this on one of our earlier meetings, is that I find that actually there seems to be more respect for older people than I expected there to be as I was getting middle-aged. And little things like people offering you a seat on a bus or a tube or a train or whatever it is. And the first time it happens, your first reaction is, oh God, do I look that old? And then the second time you say, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. So it's been it's a pleasant and continues to be a pleasant experience, and it's better than the alternative.
Oh, you've stolen my line. I remember seeing an American comedian. Who was the American comedian with the big glasses who used to say goodnight to the folks, Gracie? He lived to about 100. Whoever it was, he was asked, how do you feel being 99? And you always said you said you always said you didn't want to live beyond 99, and you're 100 next week. How does it feel? He says it's better than the alternative. Anyway, look, thanks both. Well, I think my comments are probably a summary of what you've both said. Just to pick up on what Michael said, which is the thing about community, which was picking up on what Tim said about community. We have in our symposium discussions a number of other longer form discussions that have taken place, one of which deals with the issues around aging and talked about dementia. And I remember Tim very early in one of those discussions saying, or pulling out the advice, that one of the best defenses against dementia is to make sure you're involved in a community and have conversations and support. It's one of the key factors in helping prevent it. Okay, so I think I've got about 5 here. I mean, we always talk about lists of 5, don't we? We were talking about that earlier. First one is and again, you've both said this, I've earned the right to say no. And I do. I think at this age, you're reminded as being part of the seniorship that it is okay. It's okay to say no. You don't have to be rude about it. You don't have to be a misanthrope. You don't have to hide yourself away from the world. But sometimes you just say, I'd love to be able to help you, but I don't want to. I'm not going to be there. Picking up again on what you guys said, the second one is you know what you enjoy. You've had a lifetime of experience knowing what gives you pleasure. And Tim's is, a walk to the pub, a chat with mates, and engaging with his community, so whether it's writing, walking, reading, pub going, good conversation. As we enter the seniorship, I think we get better at prioritizing what gives us joy, what makes us feel great, or what makes us feel better. And we support that clarity. And I think a lot of our discussions in the seniorship are around that. We surround ourselves as we get older with people who get it. I mean, one of the advantages that Tim, Michael, and I have is that we can just say one sentence and we all know what the other one means about getting old. We've got that shared experience. And again, friends and colleagues that we have outside of the symposium and the seniorship also know that. And it's these friendships that go back decades that still matter. I mean, I met Tim for the first time in 1983, April 83. And I think, Tim was in his 30s still then, only just, but he was still clinging on to his 30s. And I think Michael and Tim first met in about 1948, was it, when you played rugby?
Give it a rest. Long time
But
ago.
a long time ago. I think in the 70s you were playing rugby together at Ealing Rugby
We
Club.
were, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And so the seniorship celebrates long-standing relationships of all sorts. And we also, all three of us will know that those relationships have gone through dips and troughs and absences and silences, and then you've come back together. And the joy of these long-standing friendships is that when you get together, having not seen each other for a long time, it's like you're picking up from when you last had a pint together. Nothing's changed. And I think the final one I would just wrap this up with is, I don't think anymore, once you're in the seniorship, you're not trying to prove anything to anyone. Those days are gone of trying to prove yourself to other people. That doesn't mean you're not trying to prove yourself to yourself and trying to improve on what you can do and to deliver and add value and to contribute and to add value to your own life, but you're not doing it with the intention of impressing somebody else. You're just being yourself. There's no pressure to perform or compete. And I think what we can do is take time to contribute with each other, reflect, and enjoy being part of something meaningful, which inevitably is a community. And that's what the seniorship is. So feel free to join us in the seniorship community. Look at some of our other symposium discussions, which is where Tim, Michael, and I get together and chat about anything under the sun. Feel free to let us know what you think we should be talking about. But we also have a series of depth interviews where Michael primarily interviews other people who are members of the broader seniorship community. And if you want to be one of Michael's interviewees, drop us a note, let us know. And everyone has a story and everyone can learn from everyone else. So there you go, a quick snippet of 10, 15 minutes from the Seniorship Symposium. And Tim, goodbye from Tim.
Goodbye from me.
Michael.
And goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.